Let's talk about a great alternative to the Samsung Frame TV. My wife and I decided we wanted a change of color to our bedroom, and she took it upon herself to sort of repaint the bedroom into this sort of like neutral off-white, a little like light taupe color. My wife has always been curious about the Frame TV, but honestly in the past, like the Samsung Frame line specifically, just doesn't offer the feature set that I would want from a TV. But now that this bedroom has sort of become this really intentionally designed space, I figured now is the time to try to do it. But now, thankfully, years on, there are a lot more alternatives to this frame style, art style TV that you can get. So I picked up the iFFalcon Mural TV, which if you haven't heard of that brand, then join the club. I think a lot of people haven't. iFFalcon is actually a brand owned by TCL. I'm going to give you an unboxing. I'm going to show you a little bit more about the design of this room and why we're sort of approaching it this way. This is a sneak peek of it here. And then I'm going to actually install the flush mount and get it hung up on the wall, and then show you the finished product, and then do my quick review of what I think about it. So first, let's do an unboxing. So first, I got to get this out of here, so we can put the Frame TV up on the Mural TV up on its legs and give it a shot. So let's get this going. So we've tried out the TV for a little while, and now we're going to mount it on the wall and do some and hide some cables in the wall with one of these cable kits. So I'm going to get started. And now we're going to figure out where to position this so that it looks the best. You see we've got this big, beautiful armoire. Figure out the height and get the mounting bracket on first. So I've also added the 2 VESA mounts as requested by the instruction manual. So as you can see, my wife is a very visual person and likes to tape the outlines of the TV before we decide where to mount. So here it is. You know, it's higher than what you normally want to see for a TV, but this is also doubling as artwork. So we've got it taped. We've moved the dresser out, and then we put this template that came with it up. So now the moment of truth to figure out if we've got studs on any of these holes. All right, we're gonna do I have 2 different types of stud finders, this magnet one, and this is like a kind of an old school sort of density one. All right, I'm gonna start here. Okay, so we got one there and one there. So we've got a stud here and here. So I like to use this magnet one that my wife bought and likes, and it sort of will lock to the nails in a stud. So we think we have a stud here. Okay, yeah. So we definitely have a stud right there. Yep, and then we got another one right there. So it stays, and then you know you have a stud. Okay, so we have a napping baby, so we're not hammering in the drywall anchors yet. But we are starting to drill the holes for this cable process. So I bought this kit that basically is an in-wall code rated. This is basically just Romex in the middle, but it's 2 junction boxes connected through, and so we're trying to figure out where it should go, because we kind of want it to sit here so it's in this cavity here, and our stud, it would give us more space if we were here, but that's where our stud is, and we can't drill over a stud, so we're doing right around here. Okay, so we have the good thing about this kit is it comes with a hole saw that's the exact size that you need for the plates. I'm about to drill this hole in the drywall, which is going to be the point of no return. My wife just painted this room and she's filming me do it, so if you hear a yell, it's because I did something bad. Wish me luck. I had to get a crescent wrench to tighten it to tighten it. So now it shouldn't fall off its drill bit. She made a face. She's making a face right now. All right, so we are back. It's quite a bit later, but you know, that's the life of parents. We put in the brackets, looking good, and then also drilled these big, scary holes in the wall for the cable kit that I got. So I'm about to feed that through. Feed the HDMI through first, where you start putting all the plates and recessed boxes in, because then you have more space to work. So I'm going to do the HDMI first, and then I'm going to run the electrical cable. So now we're going to run these cables through the wall. This is just a really long HDMI cable I got. It is a CL3 rated because I'm trying to be as close to code as I can. I think these low voltage cables, even if you just had like a regular one, would be fine through the wall, but I bought one that's in wall rated. So and there that is. Okay, so I'm gonna leave us some slack so we can plug it in first. With these frame TVs, they sit so flush against the wall that I think tilting it forward and trying to get it plugged up is gonna be hard. So I'm gonna try to do the same thing again without the fishing part with this one. So hopefully, and there it is. Okay, so now that is in. There's a little more slack here. And so now we are through the wall. We are good there. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's good. So what's the final verdict here? So this is an off-brand TV, right? This is you know, TCL is already sort of like mid to budget tier anyway, you know, just it's standard TVs. iFFalcon is a brand that I've really only seen in foreign markets. You know, most of the reels and videos that I've watched that have it are from seem to be from South American countries or somewhere else. So it's definitely one of those brands that TCL is trying to sort of like put into new markets. Just, you know, I don't know if it's like they're trying out some different branding or whatever, but it's an off-brand TV. So what that means is the color, you know, if you're gonna compare it to sort of a regular TV, sort of a TV from Samsung or something, the color just was like a pinkness to it. But again, I'm comparing it to the other TVs in our house. Really nice TVs. You know, I've got a Hisense mini LED TV in the basement I use for gaming. That one's great for the money. But we also have an LG C4 in our main living space, which is an OLED TV, you know, one of the best that's out. Those are great. So that's what I'm used to. What we bought this TV for really is it's sort of art TV aesthetics, right? You can get TV mounts for other TVs that put the TV flush against the wall, but it's never going to be quite as flush as these TVs that are literally like they have their electronics and stuff sort of like set in a way, and their bezels and thickness are really flat and uniform. That's really what we were going for here. And I think it's great for that purpose. Honestly, we've gone to bed a little bit earlier now because we'll be watching a hockey game. We'll be, you know, my wife will be watching a show or something, and she's like, you know what, let's just finish this in bed so that we can go to sleep. So I think it's been great for that. You'll see that all the cables are hidden, which is something I hadn't done before. You know, running Romex through a wall and creating outlets is something that I didn't love the idea of. And then when I found this kit that essentially felt like it was code without having to splice in Romex or anything like that, I jumped on it. One thing you will also see is that we have a sound bar now. I just bought this cheap refurbished LG sound bar on Cyber Monday for about 80 bucks. This TV needs it. You know, it's a really thin sounding TV that is okay if you're just watching talk shows or something. But we found that we really had to increase the volume to a degree we didn't love. You know, we don't want this to be super loud in here, but because of the EQ and the sort of sound profile, like to get it to sound good, we had to turn the volume way up, and then it felt harsh, and that those sort of like high transients felt really spiky. So we didn't love that, so I got sort of a cheap soundbar. Now it's a much more even, much more rich in kind of the mid-range and a little bit of bass, so that's great. And I got one that has ARC technology and sort of HDMI pass-through, so again, the idea is to keep the cables out of sight. So the next step for this is going to be my wife has decided she wants to take this new router that we got and make a frame, make sort of like a custom frame using scraps of wood for this thing. I'm not going to put that in this video because I think it's going to be a couple months before we get to it, but I'll post a follow-up when we do that. So you can see the end result. But again, for now, this is fitting the bill, and it feels really really refined, especially with this this nice piece of furniture we got, and we love it. And I think it was a great value for the money. Again, if you're doing a frame TV from Samsung or even from Hisense and these other brands, it's can be pretty expensive. If you want to see the written review, I'm going to have that on our website. It's called getthis.tech. If you want to read the written review and maybe share it around or whatever, get more in depth on the specs and stuff, I'll get more in depth over there. But yeah, I mean, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel. You know, I definitely post shorts a lot, so you'll at least see some unboxings and some cool ideas and whatever. And if you like this one, you know, hit me with a comment and let me know what you think, and I'll maybe do more of these longer form videos. Thanks for watching, and you know, go and install that TV you've been delaying. Thank you.